Welcome to Chapter 8, Food Safety Management Systems. So what is a food safety management system? Well, it's a group of practices and procedures intended to prevent foodborne illnesses. It does this by actively controlling risks and hazards throughout the flow of food. Having some food safety programs in place will be the foundation of a food safety management system. So let's look at a couple of them. So there needs to be training programs, training on how to wash your hands, how to do certain procedures, how to put on your single-use gloves. You should also have personal hygiene programs and trainings, making sure workers know their hair needs to be pulled back, how, their nails need to be cleaned, what kind of attire they should be wearing, not to wear jewelry, things of that nature. Also, you should be very selective of your suppliers, okay? And we've talked about that before, making sure that you can trust who you are purchasing food from. And then have quality control and assurance programs as well. These are a few more of the foundations and programs that need to be put in place for food safety management systems. So you have cleaning and sanitizing programs, knowing your 3 compartment sinks and, what type of water temperatures you need and solutions for sanitizing, etc. Also, we have standard operating procedures, or they call them SOP books. Okay, and each individual operation will have their own operating procedures that are, giving examples to people what to do. Say, for example, if the trash bag breaks or rips or leaks, these are the steps that should be taken when that happens. So it's really nice to have. Then you have facility design and equipment maintenance programs. You have to make sure that your thermostats are working in your coolers and your freezers, and making sure that, your gauges on your dishwasher, are reading the correct temperatures and your water's being heated enough. And then, believe it or not, pest control is another issue that a food manager would have to make sure that they're keeping on top of. That would be rodents, insects, things of that nature. It is the manager's responsibility to actively control risk factors that could contribute to foodborne illnesses. So we're going to look at active managerial control and how you implement it. So you have identify risks. You need to find and document the potential foodborne illness risks within your operation. Then you should identify the hazards that can be controlled or eliminated. Monitor. You should be monitoring food to make sure that it is safe. Also, you should be making sure that your workers, your employees, are keeping an eye on temperatures and making sure that they're keeping everything sanitized and doing their jobs with the correct procedures. It is also your responsibility to decide when corrective action needs to take place. So what are the appropriate steps for corrective actions? What are the procedures? You need to make sure that you're keeping control over that and that you're overseeing and making the decision over what needs to go and what can stay and be saved. Management oversight. It is your responsibility to verify that all policies and procedures and corrective actions are being followed. Training. You need to ensure that your employees are trained and that they're following the procedures. And if they need to be retrained because they're doing it wrong, then that's your responsibility as well. And then reevaluation. Periodically assess the system to make sure that everything is working correctly and effectively. There are many systems you can implement to achieve active managerial control of foodborne illness risks. And HACCP, which stands for Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point, is one of those approaches. The HACCP approach is based on identifying significant biological, chemical, or physical hazards at specific points within a product's flow through an operation. Once identified, hazards can be prevented, eliminated, or reduced to safe levels. To be effective, a HACCP system must be based on a written plan, and no two plans are the same, so each facility has to create their own. It must be specific to the facility's menu, their customers, equipment, processes, and operations. A plan that works for one will not work for another. The HACCP approach is based on identifying significant biological, chemical, or physical hazards at specific points within a product's flow through an operation. Once identified, hazards can be prevented, eliminated, or reduced to safe levels. To be effective, a HACCP system must be based on a written plan. It must be specific to each facility's menu, customers, equipment, procedures, and operations. A plan that works for one operation will not work for another. Each facility needs to come up with their own. Don't forget that it's the manager's responsibility to actively control the risk factors for foodborne illness. This is called an active managerial control. It can be achieved by incorporating specific actions and procedures into the operation to prevent foodborne illness. So this wraps up Chapter 8. We only have 2 more chapters to go, which we will complete towards the end of the week. When you are finished making sure that your notes are all up to date, next you will go on to the quiz that I have for chapters 3 through 6. It is the same format that your ServSafe test will be. It's multiple choice. Remember what I always tell you. Make sure you eliminate answers that are no possible way the answer, and then use and apply what you know so far, what you've learned from ServSafe, to determine which of the remaining answers are the best choice. So good luck, and I'll talk to you soon.